hello there, humans, hippies, earthlings, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and whoever you're lucky enough to be doing it to. I'm Bushka on Blitz, and you're here to see democracy in action. I said to the people, do you want to see a nude calendar of the Grump Boys? And they said, no, it was a resounding negative. Do you want to see Bushka doing a Frank Sinatra song and dance routine? They said no, and then I said, do you want to see an E25 review? And the people were tremendously excited and said, damn Skippy. And that's exactly what we're going to get today. We're going to get the E25 review. Now, full disclosure, I'm not a huge fan of the E25. However, I know it's a bloody good tank because I constantly hate fighting the thing, which is a real punish. I actually did really well with this. I think it was 1700, 1800 average damage, and we won about 65, 70%. I ran 25 games in it, but this is the third time I've tried to review this tank. As always, it's a patron-sponsored post. There's heaps of stuff going on in Patreon. Chat, Telegram, Discord, forums. We've got a patron event coming up. We've got the EU server event this week. All kinds of gear. So drop along there and see how you're going. This used to be the absolute duck's guts when it came to DPM and camouflage, and it still is very, very good at both. In fact, its camouflage is off the charts, but it doesn't have light tank camouflage. And my big thing with tanks like this that go 60, 65 kilometers an hour and have outstanding mobility is that I want a light to do it. Because if I've got this with a light, then I've got all kinds of crazy camo. And while it doesn't have light tank camouflage, the camo on it is so good that it's as close to a light tank's camo as you're going to get. What it also is superb in terms of damage per minute. So what you want to do with this little thing is, and you'll see there, getting under the gun, that's an important factor too, and we're going to investigate that very, very soon. What you really want to do with this tank is hit from camo, basically. Fire a couple of shots, move around, and be a complete pest. Go really, really quick, and be very, very hard to hit. And that is just an absolute given. Your profile is so low to the ground, and your rate of fire is such that you can like sneak under guns and kill them while they can't actually shoot you. It's bizarre. And I'm going to show you a couple of examples of that coming up of where I use that. The tank itself is not terribly remarkable in terms of damage per minute though versus other tier 7 TDs. Versus tanks like the Comet and the SP1C and the T43 and that, it is, but TDs at tier 7 are remarkably strong in terms of damage. The leader, would you believe, is the SU-152. You can run that with the 122mm D25 1944 gun instead of the big 152mm throws Volkswagens at people gun. And that will do nearly 3,540 damage per minute. The Cockroach, the little diminutive E25, will give you 3,166. So 10% behind, but certainly not forgotten. And certainly better than just about every other TD in its tier, although only by marginal numbers. Where it really shines is not just the camouflage. Its gun is superb, absolutely superb. The aim time and the dispersion are absolutely amazing. .266 is your dispersion, running double rations and vents. And 1.33 seconds is the aim time. That's absolutely minuscule. Your gun depression is 8 degrees, which is fair, but it's really not how the tank fights. It really isn't. And your other big thing, obviously, is your speed, 65 kilometers an hour. In pure no-mod traverse, you're looking at 44 degrees, which is very, very solid. Very, very, very solid indeed. So you're looking at a tank that has some very standout characteristics, and characteristics that can really do all kinds of good things for it. And you're also going to find that probably the safest place for you at all times is right next to tanks. You're a tank that is so small that tanks can actually miss you if you are right next to them. Your gun is very, very low to the ground, and when you are low to the ground, a lot of tanks can't get the gun down and they will fire over the top of you, like you saw that VK2801 do just there. And I'm going to give you another example of this. When I'm pushing up on this T29, I try and take a track out, miss that, go a bit high on it, and I drive past him, well past him, so that when I turn around, I'm going to be pointing at his ass, and then I'm going to drive straight in under the gun and be very, very aggressive. Because, now listen up, stay close, stay safe, and stay cozy. If we have a look at the voracious predator, the KV2, he cannot get the gun down anywhere near the E25. If you get side to side with some of these tanks, they simply don't have the gun depression to hurt you. The other problem though is what if you push up and you see a tank like the T21? Well, never fear, because you are pretty bloody mobile and it's hard to COD an E25. You can always just do the old go backwards, keep them in front of you and keep pumping the damage, because nearly every tank you find is going to be under you in terms of damage per minute at this tier, and especially the tier 6s. That poor old Cheeto just got absolutely deleted. And when you have to drop the hammer, you can drop adrenaline and look at this thing go. 2.5 seconds between rounds. It's like watching a sewing machine go to work. 2.5 seconds between rounds. That's absolutely insane. And that's what you get for running a tank like this with a gun like this. So, it's a good tank. It's a tank that absolutely does the business in multiple ways. It's got a 75mm Pack 42, L70, and that's all you need to know about the gun. It is super accurate. It's got super aim time, and the pen numbers are enough. And it's Premo. It's a premium tank, so you can fire Premo and you won't have any squiz, any problems with it whatsoever. I really struggled to come to grips with this thing. What I kept doing was driving really hard at people, and treating it like a light or a medium that is super quick. And this is the razor's edge with this tank. If you push and just go hog wild like you would in a VK28 or an LTTB, as there is this huge temptation to do, because look at it. I mean, you'll get to 60 kilometers an hour like bang. Then you're going to be sorely disappointed, because while you can side hug people, and that's quite simple to do, if there's more than one tank there, they're going to get shots at you. And it's also very, very difficult to circle of death other tanks, get shots in, turn around and start your traverse again, because you just don't have a turret. So you've got to be more careful with it, and you've got to utilize the stealth characteristics. Now you can see here, I am at 221mm to that. I mean, the Carnarvon should be able to see me, but I'm behind a bush and I've got excellent camo, so I'm able to fire and unleash all this damage without being spotted. Now, that is how you use an E25. You can do this without actually getting right up in people's faces. And the more I did that, the better I got at the tank and the more I enjoyed driving it. It's also unique, guys. It is an absolutely unique little tank to drive. To have something go this fast and be this tall is hilarious. Look at it. It fits in a pocket watch. I mean, it's tiny. And that's half the giggle, because the armor is non-existent. I've one-shot these things before in a KV2. I mean, you can be one-shot by big, high-caliber HE guns. It can be tough to do, but it's completely doable. But I often say this about the Russian mediums and the IS-3 and all these other kind of tanks. One of the best forms of armor is not being seen or not being visible. And I mean, look at this. I'm finally going to get spotted at inside 200 meters firing a gun. I mean, that's pretty bloody good camouflage. And you can see the gun just works. And this is where I do it again. I push too hard here. There is no reason for me to be pushing up here. There are 2 tier 8 heavies left. There is myself and Ouija in the Comet, and I am pushing up in the E25 Cockroach. I shouldn't be here. I just shouldn't be here. It is absolutely insane. There is no reason to be here. And Ouija is saying negative, and he's just so correct. Like, why am I giving a fool an even break? And it's because it feels like a light tank. It feels like a medium, and this is what I mean. I can get round here, and I can certainly get round this T-34, but I can't get round him and then get a shot on him. And because of that, I lost half my hit points. Really, really bad play there. And that's what I kept doing in this tank. And I realized that it's a mistake. And I do what I should be doing in this tank, which is using the camo, using the view range, using the gun, and getting the hell out of dodge into a really good, strong, safe position, and then working them over from there. And that's what we do. And that's grand. And that's all you need to be worried about doing. If you get too aggressive in this tank, you'll pay the penalty. If you stay smart and safe and sensible, you will absolutely make a killing. And it is so much fun to do. And you can see there, so easy at range to take people out because they don't see you until you are very, very close to them. So that's the Cockroach, guys. I know it's been a long time coming. I'm sorry. I started this video 2 or 3 times over the course of the past 12 months, but it kept frustrating me. And I really stuck to my guns this time because so many people on channel seem to want to talk about it. And I think that's what you've got to really watch out for. It's so low to the ground and is drastically under the gun that its armor profile is really non-existent and unimportant. That's what I'm trying to say. Its armor is all about, like, it will fit in a crease in the ground. How hard is this thing to hit when it's driving around through rocks and through brush and through little bits of earth? It is incredibly difficult to shoot at, and I'm just baiting this IS-6 obviously because I just want him to sit there while Ouija comes up behind and absolutely fills him full of love. So there you go, guys. That's the E25, the Cockroach. It's a formidable little beastie. Remember to side hug in it. Remember to never stop moving. Do not try and brawl really, really close unless you have to. And when you do that, try and do it by side hugging, dipping in, taking a shot, and then dipping back out. But if they're quick enough, you are going to struggle. I would always advise using the camouflage on this tank first, and then the speed and the flanking ability to absolutely pump damage, and it can. Ruckus loves this thing. Swiss Cheese, on my good mate, is in absolute lust with the E25, has always rabbited on about it, and I really wanted to get him to drive a few games with me, only he was unavailable at times, so that's unfortunate. We've got heaps more coming up on channel, so much more. I've got podcasts dropping tomorrow, which should be grand, or actually they're going to be dropping on Friday. I've got a live stream on Thursday. We have a Patreon EU event this week too. Lots and lots and lots of things going on. So until next time, guys, look after your families and stay safe on the battlefield.